Hi, so today I'm going to show you how to use a sky overlay from Squijoo.com, a wonderful photographer's resource with lots of templates and tools for all sorts of projects for photographers. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Actions and Overlays. You can find it by either browsing from the menu at the top, or they've got this menu down towards the bottom of the home page as well. So again, we're going to go into Actions and Overlays. Okay, so they've got two different sets of sky overlays here. So we're going to be working with the New England sky overlay set. And I'm already signed into my members account, so I can go ahead and just click download now. And it's going to begin downloading a zip file down at the bottom of the screen. And a zip file is simply just a compressed version of the folder. That way it downloads faster for you, a little smoother. You will need to double click it once it's done, or go into your downloads and double click it from there to unzip that file and get the full size folder out. Okay, so once you've done that, you either go to your downloads folder, unless you've specified a different folder for your downloads to go to, and you'll click on the New England Sky Overlay folder, and you'll see that there's 16 different ones here. So you've got a nice selection. We're going to be working with Sky Overlay number 10 today and applying it to this image. So you can either go to File and Place, and it'll bring up your folders so that you can directly select your file from there, or you can do it from your Finder or your window that you have on Windows to drag it over. So I'm going to go ahead and place that onto my document. And you're going to see it's going to place it over the entire image. Okay. So you'll just hit enter to place. And I actually have an extra layer in here that I don't need, so I'm going to quickly get rid of that. So that we're just focusing on those two layers. Okay. So this is what it looks like. It's placed it as a smart object, and when it's a smart object, that just means that you can double click it and it'll open that sky, just that layer, into a new window in Photoshop, so that you can directly edit it if you want to do, if you want to change the colors, if you want to add some blur to it, whatever you like to do. The first thing I want to do is I'm going to choose the part of the overlay that I want to use. You can use this entire sky if you want. I like to drop it down to about 50% opacity so that I can see both the background and the sky, and just kind of move it around to where I want it. For this image, I really love the top of this sky. It's nice and wispy. I think it's going to work really well. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and move this and kind of scale it to size so that I can use the top part of that. Okay, perfect. Go ahead and hit enter. Now there's a couple ways that you can do this. You can erase it off where you don't want it. That can be a little bit tedious, and if you kind of erase it someplace that you do want it, it's hard to go back. So I'm going to show you how to use a layer mask today for this. So that's how I have it placed on there. So what we want to do is we're going to add a layer mask. You can either use this tool here, the rectangle with the square or the hole cut out, the circle, and it's going to put a white layer mask over it. Okay, so there's your sky. Or there's another way that you can do it by simply going to layer and layer mask, and it gives you two options: reveal all and hide all. Reveal is that white overlay we just did. Hide all puts a black layer mask over it. Okay, so that means it's there, it's just hidden right now. And the reason why I like to do a black layer mask is because now I can take a white paintbrush. So I've got my paintbrush, it's white. I have the hardness of it turned down so it's a softer brush. Now, with that black layer mask selected, I can paint my sky on. That's awesome. I'm gonna go around my tree line. I'm gonna do it sloppy real quick just so I can get it applied to the general areas that I want it. Because that is the great thing about layer masks. I'm just gonna switch it back to black and take it off their heads. And if you get a little bit of a haloing, go ahead and fix your brush. Okay, so this is a really intense sky. I think it's going to kind of compete with the image with the groomsmen that are in the photo. Okay. So with the skies, sometimes you may want to drop it down a little and adjust it to where it kind of looks realistic. And then it gives you a little bit of a better idea where you're going to want the sky to be. Okay. So we're just going to kind of, I'm not going to make it perfect this time around, but we'll get it pretty darn close. And a little tip for tree lines, because they are so tough. Hair isn't so bad, and heads, not too hard to do. But with tree lines, they're a little bit more difficult because rarely, unless you're shooting on a beach or you have a clean horizon, is it just going to be a straight line for you to do. So you want to use a soft brush still. And you can adjust the opacity of the brush, and that's really what's going to do it for you. So that you don't have as defined of an edge. You definitely want that to be softer. So you just kind of switch back and forth between your black and your white, on and off. And put it around that tree line. Take it off in certain places. Okay. And you can adjust, how vibrant you want it. Bright sky, if you want it darker. In this case, these clouds here, they're pretty soft. They look like they're farther back in the distance. Let's say if I used the middle portion of the photo with the clouds that had a lot of detail in them, if that was the case. For the overlay, you can either double click to open up the smart object, or sometimes what I like to do is I'll just go ahead and rasterize that layer. It'll ask you, rasterizing means it's simply not a smart layer anymore, because in this case it's super easy. You just go to blur. I like using the Gaussian blur. That I don't know if that's the proper pronunciation, but that's my favorite blur to use for it. With that tool, you'll be able to see in the preview box here, just kind of how much blur you're going to get to make it look like it's a farther away depth of field. Okay, as you can see, if you watch over here, you see it get more and more blur so that it looks farther back. Okay, so that's a great way to do it as well. I kind of like the way the clouds look, so I'm not going to mess with it too much. Maybe we'll put just a little bit of one on there. And there you go. That's how you create a realistic looking sky using an overlay. Very easy to do. So there's without it, there's with it. Have a great day.